Is there any hope for the New York Jets moving forward? Not off to a great start. The anatomy of a tank, we have the Tyler Shug rule. Culture is also make believe. That's what we're talking about. Today, appreciate you guys stopping in, talk about these damn New York Jets. So, the discourse around the Jets right now is not great. It's pretty toxic. Steph, it's pretty negative. We're arguing about Mike McCarthy today, right? Because he would definitely work for Woody Johnson. But here's the deal with these tanking New York Jets. At least here is my perspective on it. The Jets getting off to an 0-7 start was very bad. It's diabolical, right? It's inexcusable. They were setting records for defensive ineptitude. This was before Wilkes was fired and before it got worse, when they had Sauce, when they had Quinnen, and when they were clearly trying to win, they were very, very bad. And I don't think you can point to really much, a ton offensively or defensively, where they were put at a strategic advantage by their coaching staff. I know Engstrand pushed a couple of buttons early that seemed to work, but far from a proven commodity there. Defensively, they're absolutely swimming. There doesn't seem to be a cohesive theory of mind you could point to from the man on top. And obviously, Chris Banjo is certified just good at his job. So Chris Banjo is a good special teams coach, but besides that, it's a lot of question marks. And I think that if you look back to the off season, I don't really begrudge like the holes that were left on the roster. Like, oh, they didn't get around to wide receiver 2, or maybe they just overestimated how quickly Arian Smith would be able to play, because it's not crazy to draft a mid-round receiver who's 24 and have him go get 400, 500 yards. And Arian Smith was far from ready to do that. But I don't even worry about that, because you knew it was going to be a multiple year build in terms of getting the roster ready to compete. We all understood that. But I think if you look at the Justin Fields signing, and I'll get to the tanking and how I think the complaining of I want to tank more competitively is kind of silly. I'll get to that, but let's just start with where some criticism is warranted. And I'm not saying they should be fired, because you can't unpress that button. So I mean, dude, it was like 3+ years before I said that with Salah and JD. And don't have it's going to be a rambling stream because I don't have exact notes, but I think at least for me, I kind of reset when they hire people. Like, they hire new people, you get excited, they start sucking, they suck more, you get more angry. Oh my god, fire them, and then like, to me, I kind of go back to baseline, and I give the new people the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong. It seems like we kind of just maybe it's just a 15-year playoff drought. Like, people are over it. It seems like Glenn didn't really get that, because with Salah, man, and obviously you don't want to use Salah as a benchmark because he was a failed head coach too. But with Salah, like, dude, that team was ass cheeks, man. 2021 Jets, I think we've forgotten how bad they were. I remember paying real US money, real currency, to watch McCorkle Jones do the same screen pass a million times, and the Patriots had 55 points, 571 yards of offense, and got 33 first downs. And after the bye week, the 2021 Jets caught a 55 burger, a 31 burger, and then two 44 burgers in a row. And they were not tanking. It was a rebuild year, but they weren't fully tanking like the Jets are now. So that team was pretty bad. It didn't seem like there was a ton of one and done talk for Salah, maybe because he was tethered to a rookie QB and you were going to see how that development went. I think if we're being consistent, you'd probably say something similar to Glenn. Like, I just assumed him and Muji are going to sink or swim based on what they do at the quarterback position in 2026. Now, that being said, what they did at the quarterback position in 2025, I think, warrants criticism just because of the result. Now, parting with Aaron Rodgers. You let go of a Hall of Famer. Like, did 20 years, 18 years of that version of Aaron Rodgers was not a Hall of Famer. The Jets never had a Hall of Fame Aaron. It's like saying they cut Hall of Fame Tyron Smith. How could they? Like, it's like, okay, Jacoby Brissett. That's what you're getting. Did you see Aaron Rodgers on Sunday? Yeah, he's obviously much better than Fields. But I think the idea that they blew up some sort of dynasty was a little bit overblown. I understood the business decision to part with Rodgers, who was non-committal to Glenn on even if he wanted to play or not. So that's fine. But then I think the whole idea was you should get significantly cheaper at the position because a big part of the reason was the financials with Rodgers. And then you give Fields 30 million guaranteed, which, hey, I guess it costs what it costs. I got sticker shock at that. I thought they were going to target Fields. I don't know what I was thinking. It was just like a 1 year, I don't know, $8 million deal. But man, 30 million in guarantees into the second year. And the Fields experiment, and people will say, oh, well, it's a lotto ticket. Yeah, lotto tickets are dumb. And 30 million, it's not going to hamstring this team for like 3 years moving forward, right? If you have competent people, you can square that away. It's not some back-breaking contract. I understand that, but I think it's the extent to which we really hammered on the financials were a big reason you had to get rid of Rodgers, and I understood that. I think it would be dishonest to just shrug at giving $30 million to get 9 games of backup level quarterback play out of Justin Fields. And compounded by the fact that Justin Fields played worse than he did under Matt Eberflus. It was his worst season since his rookie year and all of the metrics that truly matter in evaluating a quarterback's efficiency. So that's not good. And you can always shrug your shoulders and say, well, Justin Fields just sucks. Okay, well, if he always sucked and he never had any chance, why didn't you just donate $30 million of cap space to a charity of your choice? Or if there was something there that was worthwhile taking a shot, why did he play worse than never before? The Fields thing was just it was just like a random where, hey, we did a thing. Because Engstrand never really seemed committed to do the kind of running with Fields that you have to do to get anything out of him. And of all the quarterbacks who have had their late career resurgences, I don't think any of them have ever done it with like Jeremy Rucker and Tyler Johnson being key cogs of their offense. So maybe I don't think Fields was ever good enough to truly pop in a way that like Darnold did late. But if he was going to, it wasn't going to be under these circumstances. And Engstrand seemed reprieved when he could get Tyrod Taylor in there and just start throwing some normal passes and not do the whole read option thing. So what the heck was that? The Fields thing was just kind of a half-assed waste of everybody's time, right? What was kind of the point of it? Along with the defensive ineptitude. And I think if you were to ask me of areas that have improved, I do think Breece Hall has honestly had his best year since his rookie year. I think Garrett was having an efficient year early, and some of their blocking was a bit better through stretches of the season, I think. But obviously the quarterback that they chose was worse than he's been in quite some time. And I think defensively they are really swimming because I don't think Quincy Williams and Jamie Sherwood are complete bums. I know that's the easiest thing right now because Glenn is the new coach. So we're always, our instinct is to opt with the blame that is most convenient. The blame that is most convenient, right? And the blame that is most convenient now is every single player on this roster is a complete and unmitigated scrub because it's easier because it's like, oh, we just get some new players in here because the alternative is to like, oh, do we not have good leadership? So we're going to go with the easy answer and say Jamie Sherwood and Quincy Williams are complete unmitigated bums. Well, I don't know. Jamie Sherwood was voted MVP by his teammates last year. He had a market. He was going to be a high paid linebacker. Now maybe he was a little bit overrated. But he was a good player last year, and Quincy Williams was a damn first team All Pro, and he didn't tear an ACL, he didn't turn 34. Now Quincy Williams can't play football at all. Will McDonald, complete regression when that was the player that I think AG kind of puffed his chest out a little bit and explicitly said he had not been coached properly, and that's why he was going to be better, and he was worse. Will McDonald, I know the sack numbers ended up being close, but he was the pressure numbers and just our eye test. He had 4 sacks in one game, and then he disappeared for 5 games at a time. He was much more consistently getting pressure on the quarterback last year. And you don't get an interception the whole year. You are the worst DVOA pass defense since 1999, and you're gonna finish one of the worst 3 Jets teams in point differential in franchise history. There's a chance you could finish worst. So that's all not great. That is all definitely not ideal. But I think I guess I'm trying to imagine if the Jets didn't go the full tank route, which they're doing. It's not a defense to say that they're tanking. That's what they're doing. Because, oh, it's an excuse. They're not losing on purpose. They just suck. Yeah, they suck, but also they're making sure they don't even win on accident now. It's like I get 2 + 2 equals 4. Stop defending Glenn. No, dude, 2 + 2 just equals 4. Like, I don't know. It's cold in Buffalo. Like, these are just facts. That's what's happening. They're tanking. And I'm trying to imagine if the Jets were able to continue their normal bad stretch, because they had that stretch of whatever it was, 7 games where they won 3 games and even a couple of their losses. It was to be expected, like how they lost to the Ravens, about to be expected for the horses on either side. Lamar Jackson going up against uh, Tyrod Taylor. About what you'd expect, right? Nothing egregious, nothing sort of embarrassing blowouts. So if they kept doing that, and maybe what do they win? One more game? Probably. It's really about the games being closer. Because even Atlanta was a comparable opponent to the Saints when they played Atlanta down to the wire. So if they wanted to try and not tank against the Saints, maybe they lose to the Saints by 6 points instead of whatever it was. And then obviously the Patriots probably beat them the same way they beat them the first time around by whatever, a couple of scores. And the Bills and Jaguars would beat them in ways that like the Steelers and maybe Buccaneers, whatever, did early on, right? And you win 4 games and you're a normal bad Jets team, not a historically bad Jets team. And you're kind of like, yeah, that's kind of what it was. I'm still disappointed with the coaching staff. Felt like we could have been a little bit better in some game management spots, but you're rolling into the next year and now you're picking at 6th or whatever. Maybe we're still saying to fire him, but I don't know. And I think after that Falcons win, a lot of people were saying, good God, this game isn't going to mean anything moving forward. The draft pick is more valuable. Which I gotta say, I do agree with that. I'm not saying I was rooting for them to lose in real time, when they were competitive earlier in the season. I'm not saying that you should go into every year hoping they lose or whatever, but yeah, I do agree with that. So then, but to say that, and then when they do what it takes to make sure they are not even going to win on accident, to try and get the high pick for the quarterback, which is what they're doing. It's not the Peter Woods tank. Promise you it's not. It's not the Peter Woods tank. Then we crash out. So it's kind of like looking at taking a dump and then you look at it after you wipe. Like, what did you expect to see? Like it's shit. Oh, I knew it was going to be shit, but I didn't want it to smell that bad. It's shit. It smells. That's what you get. Don't look. If you don't want to see it, man, don't look. If you don't want to see it, don't tune in on this upcoming Sunday either, because that's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to see. There's no such thing as a competitive tank. I don't I don't think it's that hard to comprehend that they started 0-7 and that was very bad. They lost the game because they had Xavier Gibson on their team and they had the internet which told them he's a fumbling liability. That's their fault. Um, their inability to stop the same play action pass against Tua on Monday night early in the season, they lose a closer game. That's their fault. Sure. But this is what a Brady Cook and UFL defense era is going to look like for December. Right? Because they were up until that point, they were a bottom tier team, but kind of like a little bit above the rest of the bottom tier teams in terms of point differential. Before they started playing Brady Cook, their point differential was closer to the Bears than the Titans. And they said, well, we're going to make sure we don't win on accident because and people was, well, if they would have played Garrett, they could have Garrett Wilson and Mason Taylor and Will McDonald and Sauce and A.J. Thomas and Tyrod and played the Jaguars and lost by 50 or whatever. Bro, they were down by 2 points with 20 seconds left at midfield to the Broncos. Not because they're good, but because if you decide to play NFL players, weird shit can happen. And they said, we don't want any weird shit to happen. We're going to fully tank like 80% of us wanted them to. And this is what you get when you tank. I don't understand how that is like a defense or saying it's good or saying you should like it or the Aaron Glenn's to get a lifetime contract. It's literally what it is. Is what it is. When you wipe your ass and you look, you're going to see poop. You're going to see poop. Is what it is. If you don't want it, just, I don't know, don't go. Get a bidet. But that's what it's going to be when you look. That's what it is. I want a competitive. You could be down by it. You could be up against the Steelers. You could be right neck and neck with the Broncos and the Bucks. You could accidentally beat the Bengals, Falcons, or Browns, unless you do the Brady Cook method. They did the Brady Cook method. It's not for the faint of heart. That's what it is. Hopefully, it can net us a damn QB. Speaking of QB, we have to revisit the Tyler Shough rule. Shuck? How do you pronounce this kid's name? Is it Shuck? The Tyler Shough rule. Tyler Shough rule. Tyler Shough rule saves lives. It's very important. Now, in terms of a quarterback, because the Jets are probably going to have the second or third pick, and there will be only one team that we are pretty sure is going to take a quarterback that's drafting ahead of them, and that is the Raiders. The Raiders are almost assuredly going to have the number one pick. But the Jets could get to number 2 if the Giants win and the Jets lose. Or they could be at number 3, and I think the Giants would probably be a willing trade partner. You can move up for maybe a second-round pick. That's what it is on the That's what it is on the chart. So, if you could get to pick number 3 and you're that close, and we did the Brady Cook era, which most people want, well, at least a decent sample size on like my YouTube and X page, which does that say every Jet fan in the world? No, it doesn't, but it's a decent sample size. I think my last poll, it was like 3,000 people responded on the tank, and everyone wanted the tank. It was like 78%. And it was like 2/3 on my YouTube channel. So we say, yes, Brady Cook method, all down for it. Be historically bad in December so you don't take any chances of accidentally winning a game. And then, once we get there, who should we draft? A quarterback? No! Peter Woods. That would be crazy. Like, you can't do a Brady Cook month and then get Peter Woods at the end of it. That would be insane. Then you might as well just win some meaningless games if you're just going to get a Peter Woods anyway. You could take Peter Woods at 8, whatever you're going to do. So if you could do that, you should take the quarterback. There's only 2 reasons why you wouldn't want to take the quarterback this year. There's 2 very good reasons. A, the dude who's there at pick number 2 or number 3, you don't think is good. Maybe you think it's like 2021 when there's only one quarterback worth taking because it's age to be a one quarterback class in Trevor Lawrence, even though four of them went in the top 10, Fields, Lance, and Wilson, all busts. Fields is the best of the best of those three. I mean, Trey Lance is like and Zach Wilson are barely hanging on to the league. Okay, that's fine. You can't take blood from a stone. If there's no quarterback worth taking, then you go into the next year. However, I'm gonna guess that the Jets feel a certain type of way about a couple of these quarterbacks if they're doing the Brady Cook tank. I can't square the logic otherwise. Why are you doing a Brady Cook era if you don't think Dante Moore is worth taking? Maybe they love Peter Woods. I don't know. Maybe Peter Woods is like generational to them. Okay, so A, if you don't think the quarterback is worth it, that's fine. Or B, if you think this coaching staff is trash and you're like, they're a lame duck, and either they're going to be fired soon and you want the next people to take a quarterback, or you want them to at least have one more year to, okay, maybe you get some NFL talent in here, a different veteran quarterback, and show some improvement before you feel comfortable throwing a rookie in there. Those are both valid methods. The coaching or the quarterback just can't play. But ironically, I think the reason I see given the most as to why the Jets should wait on the quarterback spot is the logic I disagree with the least, as we trademark the Tyler Shough rule, which goes as this. Do you have a capable offensive line? Yeah, okay, cool. Do you have capable coaches? All right, fine. Does the quarterback you take not suck? If you have that, man, you'll be fine. The New Orleans Saints don't have a single Pro Bowler. They have a couple of good young tackles. Their interior offensive line is mid. They have no run game to speak of. They have Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson. Is Garrett Wilson as good as Chris Olave? I would say so. If Mason Taylor can't be as good as Juwan Johnson in his second year, he shouldn't have been a top 50 pick. I think he can be. I mean, there's no Alvin Kamara, who's the Saints running back. We just played them. I don't even remember. I remember Taysom Hill was like their best runner. Is their running back better than Breece Hall? And that's just what the Jets, obviously, the Jets should add more. It should be a receiver drafted, a veteran tight end, on top of Garrett Wilson coming back, and Mason Taylor coming back, and maybe even an ABT situation, whatever you want to do. So if you are more than 1 year away from providing an infrastructure on par with what the semi-tanking Saints have given Tyler Shough, then you're a million years away. Then you're never going to do it. If you can't take a second round pick and get a wide receiver too, and maintain, not build, maintain an adequate offensive line, and sign like a veteran tight end to go along with Mason Taylor, and get like a little bit more improvement out of AD Mitchell heading into his third season, then you ain't the guys. I don't know how to look at it any other way. When you look at, because why is Tyler Shough shugging? Why is he shugging in New Orleans when they didn't build the team for 27 years? How is that possible? Because his offensive tackles are not turnstiles. He has a wide receiver one, and he has a coach. That's it. Now, obviously, your defense can't be the 32nd in the league because you don't want to be playing in a game script that's just horrific every week in and week out for a rookie quarterback. Okay, the Jets defense won't be top 10 next year. You can't get to the 19th best defense in football. Robert Saleh went from bottom 5 to top 5 in a year. Not even expecting that. You can't get to mid. You can't get to the 19th best defense in football where you're below average and it's a mild inconvenience for your quarterback instead of a death sentence. If you are more than a year away from being the 19th best defense in football, you ain't the guys. That should be a compliment. It would be insulting to Muji, Glenn, and Ingstrand to say, you need 3 years before you can Shough. 3 years before you can Shough it up. That's an insult to them. Whoever they hire as defensive coordinator, you need 7 years before you can be below average on defense. No. So, did the kid you draft, can he hit a pass? Can your coach call a play? Can your guys block? Do you have a receiver one? That's the minimum effective dose. Now, obviously, you want more. Add more. Don't just settle for that. Go get a receiver. Go get a tight end. Of course. But if you look at the quarterbacks that we now know to be good or capable, who were failed by previous teams, they did not meet the Tyler Shuck rule. They fell below that somewhere. Sam Darnold, he had turnstile offensive lines and a very bad coach. Even the weapons are an inconvenience. If Sam Darnold had a good offensive line and Kevin O'Connell, he could have thrown to Jermaine Kearse and Robbie Anderson, and it wouldn't have been great, but he would have been able to play. He would have been fine. Not great, but he would have been fine. A lack of weapons is an inconvenience. It's the coaching and the offensive line that do young quarterbacks in. Zach Wilson. Now, the Jets did him no favors. He didn't have good coaching, especially when they went to Hackett. But also, there's some pretty good evidence at this point that maybe he just doesn't have what it takes to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's a third stringer. Sean Payton played him behind Jarrett Stidham. Mike McDaniel's playing him behind a 7th round rookie. Okay. So the threshold were not met with either of those because one of the quarterbacks couldn't hit a pass and the other one had bad offensive line and bad coaching. Bryce Petty couldn't hit a pass. Christian Hackenberg couldn't hit a pass. Geno actually had the last Jets situation that was really conducive to a quarterback because they had Todd Bowles, who was like an average head coach. Chan Gailey was a bit past his prime, but he still had a couple of fastballs left in 2015. They had a middle line. They had 2 awesome receivers. They had a 1,000-yard back, and he got his jaw broken. And if he didn't get his jaw broken, maybe he throws those 32 touchdowns instead of Ryan Fitzpatrick, and his career is different. He's even admitted as such. He's taken responsibility for that. All right. Then you go to Aaron Rodgers, who was capable of, he could hit a pass, right? It's not like Zach Wilson. And the offensive line was okay. The combination of old Tyron Smith and rookie Fashanu is not great, but look what he played with on Sunday. He's got a backup playing the past month because Broderick Jones is out. He's got a backup guard because Semialu is hurt. That's worse. Is Morgan Moses getting Drake May killed? No. Was Joe Tippmann trash last year? ABT played 15 games last year. Was he trash? Is John Simpson an unplayable guard? No, of course not. The Jets' offensive line personnel was not why they were bad last year. They were bad because the first 6 weeks of the season, Aaron Rodgers was like limping, and they had the single worst offensive coaching staff in the NFL. The coaching was the main reason. Above Rodgers' age and above the offensive personnel wasn't even that bad. They had 2 good receivers and a solid offensive line. So I would say main reason, coaching. They had a horrible coaching staff. So at no point since 2015, the last time the Jets had a good offense and a situation that was conducive for a quarterback, at no point since then have they had all 3 of the basics of do you have a quarterback who can hit a freaking throw? And even now with Fields, obviously he can't really hit a pass that much, but the coaching is questionable. Right? So at no point have they had A, QB who can hit a pass, B, capable offensive line, and C, capable coaching all at the same time. They have not had those at the same time. They haven't shugged. The semi-tanking Saints, just by accident. Sure, we'll take, Kelvin Banks will take you. Shug will take a flyer on you, whatever. Our whole team kind of sucks. We have no Pro Bowlers, but we're going to be average in defensive EPA because we're decently coached. And DeMario Davis is never aging. They just whipped that up. They outshugged us in one semi-tank year, they shugged it up in a way that we couldn't shug in a decade. So because we've never shugged in 10 years, I think we have this mentality that you have to line up like a dozen different stars in a row before you could even look at a rookie quarterback. You can't even look at Dante Moore, Demi Moore, Elijah Moore, no Moores. You remove more from your vocabulary. You just say mas. You just start speaking Spanish because you don't want to say more by accident. Like it doesn't have to be that way, man. If you are more than a year away from shugging, you will never be able to shug. Now, additionally, I think if I'm just looking at this, and that's just my case from the timing of the roster being perfectly ready is not as big of a deal as really the coaching. So I'm not sure about this coaching staff. So I would understand the argument of wanting to see what they have with maybe a veteran quarterback and see if they could be a normal team before you throw a rookie quarterback in there. That would be I understand that. I definitely understand that. But if I'm looking at it just from a resources standpoint and how to best use the resources that you have over the next 2 years, which is the five really high picks, right? Five first round picks, three second round picks. How do you best use that? Okay, to me, if you could spend that late second round pick to come up one spot, and then you have another second, another first, you could do whatever, is take the best defensive player you want. You have another second to take a receiver, and then you still have eight more picks in 100 million in free agency. So you can meet the Shug criteria with that. You don't want to stop with that at the Shug line. You want to go beyond the Shug line. And then next year, you have three first round picks to shug it all the way up. That to me, in terms of your resources, and you could have sat the rookie the whole year if you wanted to. It's fine. And then you wait to have those three first round picks are on your team, and then you could play them. If you're terrified that you have to have AJ Halsey before you could play a quarterback, if that's really keeping you up at night, you could sit him the whole year. You wait till we draft AJ Halsey, then Dante Moore you can play. Because all those really good young quarterbacks that were failed and then resurrected were resurrected because they got AJ Halsey on their team, and not because they got competent coaching or offensive line play. That's fine. You could do that too. That would be better, because let's say you build the team, bro, this year. All right, that's fine. Well, then you better have built it up to where you could at least win, I don't know, 7 games. Then you're picking 13th and you want to come up to pick two. Now you're talking about the Bryce Young package. And now you're talking about probably you're spending all three of those first round picks just to get the quarterback. And now you can't. But what about building the team? You have less to build the team if you wait. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. That's the Shug rule. Trademark pending. Now, finally, culture. Culture is not real, at least in the way that we think it is in football. We have no culture. We have no dogs. We have no leaders. We have no pride. No, the Jets just suck. It's real. You don't need to galaxy brain it any further than that. That's why they have no culture, is because they have no competence. Saying the Jets suck because they have no culture is like saying that it's raining because the roads are wet. The roads are wet because it's raining. There's no tanking team with a culture. There's no 3-win teams that are culturing. And you may say, "Oh, well, Dan Campbell, guys that turned it around." That's fine, but they didn't start. Did you follow the Lions rookie year? It was a mess. Dan Campbell was a walking meme. He was getting trolled. They had guys dejected in the post game. It was all the same stuff you're seeing now. Maybe not as bad as like now with the Brady Cook stuff, but for the most part of the year, it's all the same kind of stuff. The Raiders are the Raiders full of like gladiator speeches and just phenomenal leadership? No, because no tanking team is going to have a good culture. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of over that, man. Like the well, like policing the Gen Z behaviors of Brees Hall because he tweets a thing. Like, dude, he's a running back, man. Are you? Do you think that the Buffalo Bills, like that James Cook is a pillar of their culture? Do you think if you switched James Cook and Brees Hall, now I'm not saying Brees could have as good of a season as Cook because Cook has been like the top 3 running back in the NFL this year, but do you think James Cook would just be a steward of perfect leadership and just magnificently, perfectly approved tweets that every single tweet resonates with you 100%? No, it wouldn't because the team would suck. You think if you put Jermaine Johnson on the Rams, would he have a loser mentality? No, because they'd be competent. Even Sauce, I know he could be like a knucklehead on Twitter, but it's like, dude, as long as you're not doing what Stephon Diggs did, where he's like strangling his chef or whatever, I'm kind of over policing the minor behaviors of these players and trying to extrapolate it to why the team sucks. The team sucks right now because they're playing Brady fucking Cook. And they're not getting a schematic advantage from their coaching staff on offense and defense in a way that you can meaningfully point out that is obvious. That's why they suck right now. They don't suck because Brees Hall tweeted a thing or Jermaine Johnson posted this on Instagram about when the team last had Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, because that's the last time they had hope. That didn't resonate with you as a fan when he posted that, like when they were throwing the Hard Knocks cut up of Aaron Rodgers throwing passes. It's like, dude, yeah, I remember that. We had hope. It was fun. It was a super fun offseason. He's a human being. Well, this is why the Jets aren't good. Man, no, they're not good because they suck. That's why. Even Quinnen, do you remember when Quinnen posted like the thumbs down, I don't want to rebuild. And now you could see why. Like, would Quinnen want to do the Brady Cook era? No, and he was honest, and he actually cares about winning. He could have just said, "I don't give a crap. My money is paid." So you ask for a little bit of authenticity in your athletes. You ask for them to care. But the moment they express that in a way that is not like perfectly extracts dopamine from your brain, like perfect articulated way, like we jump down their throats. They're not bad because Quinnen tweeted that, or because Jermaine posted that on this, or because Brees Hall said this in the. They're not bad because of any of that. Those things are happening because they're bad. That's it. With some exceptions, like Elijah Moore quitting on the team during a 4-game win streak, that's on him. There's exceptions. He was a head case, right? But those things are happening because they're bad, not the inverse. Culture isn't real. Accountability isn't real. Competence and winning. You win. You put just like the best boss you've ever had, or maybe you've never even had a good boss. I have a really good boss right now, I would say, at my job. She's great. Is she like culturing and accountability all over the place? Is she screaming at Marcelino McCurry Ball if he makes a mistake? Like, that's fine if she wants to, but no, but she's putting people in a position to be successful at what they do that further advances both the team and individual goals. People see that. They recognize that their efforts are rewarded. They buy in more. When there's strong leadership, people are more willing to work together. When there's fractured leadership, people get into every man for themselves. My boss is good because she's competent at what she does, and the results speak for themselves, and people buy in. That's it. Is she culturing? What does that even mean? What does it even mean? Oh. You could do it a lot of different ways too. Like Sean McVay is a hype guy. Like Jim Harbaugh is like my neighbor who collects stamps. Like, just, Is Jim Harbaugh because he's really relating to the 21-year-olds in that locker room and speaking to them. Oh, when Pete Carroll was good, was he accountability all over the place, or was he clapping and chewing gum? It's just they're competent. That's it. So we can keep waiting until you get your next CJ Mosley to lead your defense, or those next dogs to give a fiery speech in the tunnel. We're thinking about it backwards. It goes top down. If you have competent leadership that could demonstrate they're putting the players in position to be successful, to best further their individual and team goals together, that's it. That's it, man. And it's going to start with getting a quarterback, and hopefully coaches who can show that they took some lumps year one and were better into year two, and a front office that the free agency was not great with Fields, Sherwood, Stevens. Stevens was okay for stretches, but those are all three contracts that'll probably age to not be worth it. And then day three of the draft was horrific, but then they kind of found their stride a little bit with some lower level trades, and the big trades getting back some capital. So can they build on that momentum of the spring until now? And can these coaches kind of figure it out with some real NFL talent and a quarterback that they're going to make a really big investment on, not the moderate investment that they made in Fields, and Garrett Wilson doesn't get to pick the quarterback. Now that was something from last year where it's like, dude, well, if you get rid of Aaron, like, is Garrett gonna leave? Now I was fine with get rid of Aaron in a vacuum. But, oh, you get Fields, and then Garrett will stay because he likes Fields. Dude, you cannot run your team that way. That's insane. That is insane. I don't know if that's what the Jets did, or is it just a coincidence that Garrett hated Rodgers and loves Fields, and that's how they went? Maybe, but you can't run your team that way. You can't. You can't do it. Did the Lions turn around their team by like connecting electrodes to measure the transient emotional state of Amon-Ra St. Brown? In whatever ways like the waves went, okay, now we got to draft Gibbs. Wait, is that going to make Amon-Ra St. Brown happy? No, they just did competence. They didn't cater their whole entire organizational worldview around the 14th best receiver in football. They didn't accountability and culture at all. They just competenced. That's it. That's all you need to do. There we have it. Tanking is ugly. The Jets are worse before they decided to do that. Tyler Shough rule is in effect starting right now. And culture isn't real. What's the most you'd be willing to give up to go from pick 3 to pick 2? Well, I think a second round pick is more than fair. A second round pick is more than fair. But to answer your question, the absolute most I think the Jets should be willing to give up would be a 2027 first round pick, but a contingent that it's the latest of the picks. So probably the Packers pick, which is like pick 24. That's a lot. That's a lot to move up one spot. So I wouldn't want to do that. It would be a gut punch to give away what should be a damn good starter on a rookie deal to move up one spot. But if you're asking me the absolute most I would give up, that is the answer. Appreciate the super chat, man. Yeah, but there's I think it was Dom C who tweeted out like 3 different examples of teams moving up one spot or so in the top 10, and it costs about a second round pick. Now, some teams did it with multiple mid round picks, but about the value of that Cowboys pick is right on par to move up one spot for a quarterback. Because then if you're the Giants, you may be able to trade, you may be able to charge a team like the Cardinals more to come up from 7, but then now as the Giants, now you're picking at 7. Where with the Jets, it's a free money trade. If you're not taking a quarterback and you're the Giants, you can get a free second round pick and take the exact player you were going to pick anyway. It's like when the Jets traded down one spot to take Olu Fashanu. They were going to take him anyway. Now they could have got more by trading back to 15, but then they would have to risk losing out on Olu. So they just took the free money trade. And if you're the Giants, unless you're getting blown away by an offer down the board, you're probably going to take the free money trade. I don't know that the Jets care that much. The Giants care that much about trading with the Jets. I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you just want to take the best offer? Like, to me as a Jet fan, if we were trading out with the Giants and they had an offer 5% better than the Cardinals, I really wouldn't care. Now, if it's a division opponent, that's different. I don't care about the Giants. We play them once in the Snoopy Bowl in the preseason, and then every 4 years we play them. And the Jets and the Giants had both been trash for so long. Who cares? And this Bills Jets line is making me nervous, man. It started at 13 and a half, down to 8, quickly down to 8. Now it's at 6.5. 6.5 means the gamblers, the books, think Josh Allen is not long for that game. Oh my God. Could you imagine if they win? Could you imagine if the Jets win? And then we're literally going to get Peter Woods. If they win, they're going to pick 7th, and the Peter Woods is more than on the table if they win and are picking 7th. And then I'd have to get his jersey. I would become the Peter Woods biggest fan. Haven't watched a snap of his film, by the way. Don't know if he's good. I see him ranking high on like big boards and stuff, so I think he's a pretty good defensive tackle, which we could use, but my God. Suffering through this season to come away with Peter Woods, all due respect to the Woods family. I mean, it'd be all right. Let's not put that into the universe. The Jets need to lose this game. There's no more debate now. At this point, there's no more culture versus tank debate. Dude, the Jets need to pack this game up and get this loss and pick at 2 or 3 and not 5, 6, or 7. Unequivocally, they need to do that. And I think they will do it. Super chat from Carlos. I would like to hear your perspective on what you think will happen after the Jets lose this upcoming game with a 23-point differential or greater, because they will. Okay, so if the Bills play Trubisky and their like B team for the majority of the game, besides a couple of snaps from Josh Allen because he has to keep his game streak alive, I'm sure he'll do that. Yeah, I think the Trubisky and company would probably beat the Jets by 2 touchdowns. Because simply the gap between Trubisky and Cook is massive. And the Bills have still better coaches than the Jets, even if they're like, kind of on cruise control. I don't know if McDermott's the guy to get them to win a Super Bowl, but McDermott is solid. They're a solidly coached team. And Trubisky is like what, the 40th best quarterback in the NFL, and Brady Cook is like one of the worst 3 that's on an active roster, so and defensively, the Bills' backup defense is probably right on par with the Jets', like, quote, unquote, "starters" right now. The only advantage would be the Jets' starting offensive line will be a lot better than what the Bills are rolling out there on their backup offensive line, but yeah, man, I mean, it's I would still take the Bills, B team, right? Probably by 10 points. Vegas thinks it's gonna be close, though, but Vegas has underrated how bad the Vegas has not caught up to the Brady Cook era. Like, 13-point spread against the Patriots was egregiously small. Even against, Jacksonville, I think it was 12 or so, what do I think will happen if they lose by 23 or is there a magic number to 23? Um, I would say I think that in terms of a surprising fire, and I would say a surprising fire would be either Glenn Muji or Engstrand. I think there is a less than 20% chance of that. Now, other coaching staff changes, there will be some. I can't say there's a 0% chance of a big change because Woody Johnson can say what he wants, but he is it's interesting. I wouldn't even necessarily classify Woody as impatient, but he's reactive. Now, Casala and Douglas got to work here for much longer than most GMs and coaches combined who had the record that they did. Now I know they got a little bit of a mulligan on a Rodgers injury year, but I mean, even most coach and GM combos, you take a number 2 overall pick that bottoms out and you're done. So most of the time, you don't even get a second swing at quarterback. They do, and then they got the mulligan year. Um, but then Woody randomly fires Saleh when they're 2-3 in the middle of the year, right? So he was patient, but then at any moment he could just make an emotional decision. So and Woody is very he's got rabbit ears, man. He listens to the noise. He listens. I don't know if it's his. I think it's probably his kids. I don't know if Woody is like doom scrolling Twitter or listening to Badlands or reading Jet X Factor articles. Maybe he is. Wouldn't that be hilarious? I wonder if Woody Johnson has ever watched one of my videos. I'm sure his kids have at least one. Um, but yeah, so the collective wind of Jet media, Jet fandom, um, Woody hears that and he responds to it. And there was a when they were like 0-6, 0-7, there was a lot of one and done talk. And then it seemed as though once they made the trades for Sauce and Quinnen, there was a lull of like, okay, let's just get through the rest of this year and we'll see what next year brings. Within the past, I think like 2 weeks, it's resurfaced of like, are they going to fire this guy? How can it look this bad? So maybe they will. I don't know. I'm just gonna be honest. I would. I just kind of shake my head like if they fired him, like I know the comp is Gerard Mayo, who was similarly played for that organization, had 1 year, it was a bad year. But I remember thinking when they fired Gerard Mayo, I remember thinking you gave him a 3-win roster and he won 3 games. At the same time, I'm sure they're happy to have Mike Vrabel, right? So I guess I have to see who they hire. Is there a world in which they make a change at coach? And I feel like more optimistic they're going in a better direction. Sure. But probably honestly, the best that they could do if they did make a coaching change would be to pick a random offensive assistant from a good staff and give them like a massive promotion. Because I don't even think they can get the hottest offensive coordinator. they would have to try and snag like a passing game coordinator or a QB coach, like fucking Josh McCown. Like, is he going to be good enough to be a head coach? I don't know, but I'm saying like that's what they would try and have to find, because the names that come up, like, yes, is Mike McCarthy a better head coach than Aaron Glenn? Even in the year 2026, if I had to bet my mortgage on who could win more games with the same team, I would bet Mike McCarthy. But it's been 2 coaching cycles and they haven't linked up with McCarthy. They didn't interview him. So either he doesn't like us, we don't like him. It's not a real option. So that's probably the best you could do, or like a Brian Flores. So it's like a Brian Flores kind of guy, or a just taking a shot at a random offensive Josh McCowney type. Which, if you want to do that, like, okay, that's a fine opinion to have, but I think you have to calibrate your expectations. It's very easy to compare Aaron Glenn to a hypothetical coach that will never work here. So I'm saying, DT, I'm so behind in the chat. We're the dumbest fans in the world, and we deserve to keep losing. You guys got to come up with some original content, man. Some original. That's all you guys say. Jet fans are the worst. You all deserve to die. We heard it all before, man. Nothing you can. Hey, like, why do fans of other teams hang out in Jet spaces? Like, especially fans of other players. Like, go hang out in a space that's of your team. It's so weird to me. I'm gonna watch your channel that I hate, but I'm gonna spend my free time watching it. That's not healthy, bro. Like, that's not normal, right? Like, you gotta take some deep breaths, man. You know? So we're talking about a shitty football team. You guys get like going to anaphylactic shock. What the hell are we talking about? Can you imagine being fired by Brick? Dude, no, my favorite story from last year. I don't hate you either, JB Free, but you're crashing out, man. Like, your comments are not productive. You know, like, oh, you deserve to lose, and like, I just like, what is that, man? Jet fans deserve to lose because they disagree with you on an opinion that they don't even have a say in. You could pick a random person in this chat, and they could have the same record as like the Jets have. Like Bob from section 318 is why the Jets are bad. I hate that shit, man. I hate when Jet fans lash out at each other when the team sucks. And we die on the hill for like guys who aren't even that like good for us. Like, yeah, Rodgers was a legend, but dude, he did nothing. He did nothing for this team, bro. He won 5 games. and it wasn't all his fault. But look, did you watch him Sunday? That's how he looked against every good defense on the Jets. He looked unplayable, just like he looked against the Chargers and the Bills and the Patriots and the Seahawks and the Browns this year. He has 5 of the worst 25 games this year in QBR. Every good defense he plays, he averages like 4.5 yards per attempt. Now, is he better than Fields? Yeah. Is he better than Zach Wilson? Yeah. Is he better than Bryce Petty? Yeah, but be turning into the Joker and wishing eternal damnation on the whole franchise and every other fan because a 42-year-old that got $75 million and 2 top 15 receivers and a competent offensive line and got to pick his own play caller and his own wide receiver 3 and his own Dalvin Cook and got more autonomy than any quarterback in the league, and it resulted in 19 points per game. Building your identity around that is like kind of crazy, man. I'm just saying, like, we got to move on. You know what I mean? Like, look at, why is this not working? It's plugged in. Like, look at, dude, JB, go look at Aaron Rodgers and Jacoby Brissett's stats this year. Like, are you crashing out because we don't have Jacoby Brissett? Yeah, relax, man. They tried it. It didn't work. He tore his Achilles, and that's what sucks because we probably would have made the playoffs. We got unlucky. We tried it. It didn't work. And now we got to try and get our rookie quarterback who doesn't suck. That's our only way out of this, man. Like, I would get it if it was like Sam. You know, I was a Sam truther. I bring it up from time to time when I'm depressed, but I'm not crashing out over people who wanted to move on from Sam because Sam was bad as last year with the Jets, and the Jets did what the same idea that the Bears did, moving on from Fields to get Caleb, and it worked for them. It just didn't work for the Jets, but it's done now. Sam's gone, Aaron's gone. We gotta move on. JFM, whoever other players we like we got to move on, man. It's not helpful. All right, what the hell are we talking about? What's up, Jake? Jake, I saw your spot on TV. I thought you did a pretty good job. I was like, I could tell like you wanted to go into like radio. You were like visibly restraining, like ranting. And you looked like you were ready for like your communion, all dressed up to the nines. But Jake, you got to calm down, brother. You're not going to make it. Jake, you are not going to make it next season, bro. I'm worried about your blood pressure, dude. I can't say that you're necessarily incorrect about a lot of your stuff, but don't let the Jets break you, Jake. Don't let them break you, man. Don't let them win. Anyway, JV free. I say it out of love, man. I really do. God, chillax. Joe Willie, you sent in a sticker. I don't know if you want to attach a chat to that, I will read it. So I'll check the box. You don't have to pay again. Just put it in the normal chat, and I'll just attach it. Unless you just wanted to donate, which is cool. Appreciate it as well. Super chat from C. In my opinion, there is nothing of substance to take away from the final 5 games of this current There we go. I think I am back. All right. In my opinion, there is nothing to take away from the final 5 games of this current roster. I agree with that. I think valid criticism is from how they started, which is fair. So I'm with you there. The 0-7 start is alarming. Okay, so you took the words out of my mouth. I agree with that. This is not me being a Glenn Homer. I would be indifferent if he's fired. I think you pretty much summarized my entire feeling on this current team in about 2 sentences. So I hear you. I agree with that. Project MK Ultra. Yeah, the Blizzard. No, there was. We had it was we had like 60-mile-an-hour winds yesterday. That was pretty nuts. Yeah, man, I agree with that. I think that is a perfect synopsis of the situation. Are you in on Malik? And I appreciate the super chat, man. It's very generous of you. C5. Are you in on Malik Willis? I'm not I'm curious. I'm curious as to Malik Willis. Now, they're going to sign a veteran quarterback. So if it was just Malik Willis and and then we didn't get a rookie, I probably wouldn't feel too great about it. But if it's like, hey, we signed Malik Willis and then we drafted Dante Moore and we want to they're gonna hedge their bets because if Malik Willis pops, then they have a Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy decision to make, which maybe they didn't make the right one, but those are first world problems to have. And Malik Willis, you feel like can be competent enough to play the rookie on your own terms? Sure. Um, Now it's such a small sample size, man, with Willis. I think that last game is really gonna get him Matt Flynn money a little bit. I'm curious, like, he's an option. I wouldn't wanna guarantee him money for 2 years because if he flops, I'd want him off the books in 1 year, unlike Fields, where you're paying him a bunch of money to not be on the team. But he's one of the options, and he's a free agent. You wouldn't have to trade for him. Like Brissett, Mills, Mac Jones, those guys are all, um, under contract. And if you're at one of those teams and you have a good backup QB, like and all those teams, obviously, those backup QBs played this year because Stroud, Purdy missed time, and Kyler might be on a different team. So, like, that's going to be valuable. You're not going to give that up for a 5th round pick. Like, if you're the Niners and you have Mac Jones under contract for like no money and Purdy's been banged up, I'm not trading Mac Jones probably for at minimum a 3rd round pick. And if you're the Jets, I do not want to give up a 3rd round pick for a quote unquote bridge QB because just take that capital and use it to come up and get your real QB or use it to support your real QB. Now the cap space is different because if it's a 1-year deal, like cap to me, draft capital is more important than cap space. So I don't want to trade for a bridge. Yeah, like Davis Mills. Like if he was a free agent, sure, sign me up. You could do worse than Davis Mills. He's like a Walmart Trevor Lawrence, but he's under contract. Yeah, and Malik Willis. The thing about Malik Willis is he's gonna have options, man. So I think you're right that you'd have to pay a jet tax. You'd probably have to say, hey, we're gonna guarantee you week 1 starter, and we're gonna give you 2 years of money. And I wouldn't want to do that because he's gonna have options. Like all the teams that need a quarterback that are not gonna be able to draft one, like the Cardinals and the Dolphins and the Steelers, if Rodgers retires, like they'll be in the market because they don't do tank years, so they'll want somebody competent there. Um, the Browns, if depending on, I mean, the Browns are going to do something to hedge against Shadur. Obviously, I don't think Shadur or Dylan Gabriel have done enough to feel like the Browns are good at quarterback at all. So one of those teams is going to. I mean, really, I could see a team giving him the same contract Fields got. That's if I'm Malik Willis's agent, I'm bringing the Fields contract and I'm saying, here we go. Who's going to give it to me? And I bet you somebody will. And to be honest, I would hope it's not the Jets because I don't know. Like he could be good, but there's also a world in which it's week 5 and then we're looking at his contract. Like, when can we get out of this? So I like him, but I think the conditions that the Jets would have to get him under would be like suboptimal. Miami likes yours. Okay, that's good. You then let's cross Miami off of our list of quarterback needy teams. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. So next year, I believe it's like 58 million of dead money between Rodgers, Fields, and Tyrod. So then if they sign Malik Willis to like 15 million and they drafted Dante Moore, that would be like 10 million for a top 2-3 pick. So yeah, they could have like 83 million dedicated to the quarterback position next year. Yeah, it's not ideal. Shedeur Sanders, truthers. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he's looked okay for a 5th-round rookie, but I think the people saying he would have been like Mel Kiper, he should have been a top 10 pick. I haven't seen that. I think Suge has been better than him. I think Dart has been on par, maybe slightly better than him. But for a 5th-round rookie playing on a bad team, you're like, okay, he is, he could be some kind of player in this league and have a career and be probably be like maybe a bridge type himself. Shadur is he can throw with anticipation and he does have like some pretty nice ball placement. There were some throws to Judy he was hitting over the middle that were pretty nice, but he definitely has some limitation with his arm strength. You saw like there was a couple like the one pick he threw to Judy, he just couldn't get enough juice on it. And I think he's not athletic enough for some of the ad-libbing he likes to do that he got away with at Colorado. He's not an elite athlete for the position, and he's a little small. But he's tough. He hangs in the pocket and he'll take some shots and he's got some good ball placement. So I think Shadur will be a quarterback in this league. Um, is he prohibiting me from trying to find a more permanent solution? No, not at all. Not at all. Shadur looked good enough to beat the Steelers, but yeah, dude, the Browns had 48 yards of offense on 20 plays in the second half. They beat the Steelers because the Steelers offense didn't score a touchdown the whole game. And their inhuman kicker finally missed a kick. That was like Zach Wilson winning a game 13-10 because the Jets defense was really good and people being like, Zach Wilson is 5-3. Dante Moore, Zach Wilson 2.0. Um, that would be I mean, just by probability, he's unlikely to be as bad as Zach Wilson. What is your theory there? The lack of starts? Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty good size of evidence that you want to have more experience than he does. Um, so what are you thinking? If you can't get Mendoza, then just don't take a quarterback this year? That might be the way to play it, but again, that goes back to the Peter Woods rule. Are they tanking for Peter Woods? I think they must feel that more than one quarterback that they're willing to draft high is declaring for this draft. Otherwise, they'd be playing Tyrod and try and salvage some sort of respectability out of their play late in the season. We're truly not grasping the gap between Tyrod Taylor and Brady Cook. Like it's as big as the gap between Tyrod and like the MVP of the league. Like it's he's just not even close. And Tyrod's not even good. Well, no, I mean the Steelers are running out like Scotty Miller on offense or whatever. It's like a hodgepodge of misfit toys in their pass catching unit. Take Aller in the second. You could probably get him even later than that, to be honest. Jake muted you on his channel because he knows you were saying the truth. I mean, JV, you were probably saying a little bit more than the truth. I'm sure some things that you were saying, I'm sure were true, but I'm sure there was a little bit extra than just the truth that got you muted. Man. I appreciate the kind words, Steve NYC. Can someone explain dead cap in relation to cap space? Sure. So dead cap. So sometimes teams will obviously they will chop up a contract. So they'll add void years or whatever, or if they cut a player before the contract is done. Basically, dead money is money that is taking up cap space for a player that is no longer on your team. Right. So teams will do a signing bonus and then spread the money out over 4 years, whatever. Like they did that with Tyler Conklin, where they gave him 3 void years. So let's say they gave Conklin 3 year, $15 million deal. Maybe in the 3 years he was on the team, it was 10 million. And then they added like three $1.8 million void years on top of it just to spread out the cap hit. And then obviously because the cap goes up and just because of inflation, when you spread it out, that money is now worth it's like less that you owe kind of relative to the cap and relative to the value of the dollar. That's why like if you have debt, inflation can be kind of cool sometimes. You look at like your mortgage and you're like at the time I bought my house, it was kind of like it seemed like a crazy a lot amount of money. But now I'm like, oh, this is nothing. This is nothing because the dollar is worth 30% of when I bought it. Inflation only kills people with with assets and money and money in the bank. If you got debt, inflation can be nice. Thank you, inflation, for making my debt less debty. So all reported cap space is net of dead cap. Yes, correct. Yeah, all teams do it. Joe Douglas did it a little bit extra with the void years. Yeah, Conklin specifically, it's 2028. 2028 is the last year the Jets will be paying Tyler Conklin. My God. Brian Flores. Look, I mean, if you're asking me, given the exact same players who would win more games, Brian Flores or Aaron Glenn, I would probably choose Brian Flores because I, dude, I guess my simple answer to that is 90% of NFL fans who have no rooting interest in between those two guys. Like if you pulled if you took a bunch of Arizona Cardinal fans and Ravens fans and Rams fans, and we're like, "Hey, Aaron Glenn or Brian Flores, who would you take as head coach?" Without even thinking, they would just say Brian Flores, right? Because yeah. Now maybe that could change, but yeah, I don't. That's not hate. Like I think some people get really sensitive of like, well, how do you know he's never had? And it's like, dude, it's just you would say that if you weren't a Jet fan. We would all say that. That's fine. That's okay. It's okay to say. It's not a death. It's not a death sentence. Aaron Glenn is fine. His wife and his kids are fine. He got 12 million a year to coach his team. He will be fine. We can say that Brian Flores might be a little better than him, and we're hoping he gets better. And it's fine. It's not a hateful thing to say. You know? It's like, I don't know, name some average offensive coordinator. Would you rather have him or Tanner Engstrand? Probably the average offensive coordinator, just because the information you have right now, you would take average, right? Ryan Flores is probably an average head coach. I'm still a little surprised that he doesn't have a job. Obviously, not having a great relationship with his quarterback wasn't helpful, but some of that was probably he was right. And obviously, he was litigating with the NFL, so um, that doesn't. For being honest, that probably doesn't help his case. Tomlin, yeah, because look again, I think Tomlin may be in the same vein as McDermott. Um, I know Knicks fans had that conversation with Thibodeau where there are certain guys who are good to get you solid, to pull you out of the basement, but maybe aren't best suited to take you from like mid to win a Super Bowl. Now, there's a good amount of sample size that says Tomlin is probably the definition of that coach. Yeah, I would, of course, I would take my Tomlin because this franchise could really just use getting on base. He would be getting on base. Now, I bet you if Tomlin is ever fired by the Steelers, he's probably going to go do TV. Like, is he going to come work for Woody Johnson? Probably not. And I feel the same way about Mendoza. It's like, well, can he win a Super Bowl? It's like, dude, who wins Super Bowls? Mahomes, Brady, Manning. That's like 14 of the last 25 Super Bowls. Your name is Mahomes, Brady, or Manning. So, no, Fernando Mendoza probably isn't going to be Mahomes, Tom Brady, or Peyton Manning. Maybe he could be Eli and win a couple with a really good defense and closing his eyes and throwing a pass out of his ass to David Tyree, who catches it on his head. Sure, he could do that. I mean, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. What do they have now? 23 combined years in the league? They have no rings between them. Does that mean that they're not? That's one of the dumbest talking points. Like, what has this guy won? Like about Lamar or Justin Herbert, and it's like, okay, sorry, they're not Mahomes because that's I don't know what else to say. I would love for my biggest problem to be Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert being the quarterback of my team. But honestly, I think Mendoza reminds me he is the Trevor Lawrence of Jared Goff's. That's what I think he is. No explanation needed. You know what that means. He's the Trevor Lawrence of Jared Goff's. I AKA like he would like that would be the best quarterback in Jets history. Okay, Namath Hall of Fame or whatever, but he'd have the best stats. A Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff hybrid would have the best stats in Jets history by a wide margin. Who ruined Sam more, O line or coaches? Coaches. Sam Howell would be second in Jets single season passing yards. Yeah, I don't deny it. What coach in his right mind would come here if Aaron Glenn gets fired after 1 year? According to the internet, John Gruden. Oh man. Yeah, but I mean, I made this point before. I think if you are in the mindset of firing the coach, you don't really care about that because you probably think he's going to get fired the year after, and you could ask the same question, right? So, but you're right. It would be the least desirable opening. I know people say, "Oh, the draft. We did that last year. We did that last year." Well, it's not as bad. It's not as bad as Jacksonville. Yeah, of course it's worse than Jacksonville. Well, who wants to live in Jacksonville? Who cares? You're rich. You live wherever you can't pick a nice suburb that's outside of Jacksonville. You think that's going to be way worse than a nice suburb outside of in New Jersey? Are you out of your mind? And you don't pay state income tax, and you see the sun. You get vitamin D, and you have Trevor Lawrence instead of nobody. Of course, that was a better opening in Jacksonville. Not even close. Chicago, they had Caleb Williams, not close. New Orleans was the only one that was close to us. And even then, Liam Cohen didn't even want to interview with the Jets. So the Jets would be the least desirable opening. I don't even need to know who else is the options. They'll be the if Bowles is fired in Tampa Bay, that's a better spot. The Giants are right on par. Like right on par. That's a bad job. You'd probably still rather work for the Maras than Woody Johnson, but that's a bad job too. Yeah, we had a whole stream dedicated to that last year where people were dead set on saying like um people wouldn't want to live in Jacksonville. They'd rather like do it in the big city. Who cares? This isn't 1952. This isn't a Frank Sinatra song. Nobody cares, man. Do you see the trends of where people are moving? They're moving away from places like New Jersey and to places like Florida. No one cares. I live in Western New York, which is probably worse than Jersey and Florida. And people would come to Buffalo because they have a capable organization. And then they'll have their second home in California and live there and they're on the road half of their season anyway. It doesn't matter. Actually, I do like living in Buffalo though. But it's not for everyone, but I like it because it's a small city. It's got like city stuff. It's got like a downtown. It's got professional sports teams, but it's also a very small city. Those of you who live in New York City, dude, I mean, God bless you. I couldn't just having to rely. Number one, having to rely on public transportation to me, insane. Did it before, not because I lived in New York City, but because I was dead broke. So I had to take the bus or ride my bike for a few years. Never again. Not being able to just go outside and start your car and drive somewhere, insane to me. Insane choice. Like if you have the financial means to not do that, I can't imagine why you would do that to yourself. I really can't. Or live in like like I go up and I'm on the 30 and I'm on the 38th floor of this little building, and for the same money you could have a little 3-bedroom house and you could just go in your car and just drive to CVS if you need to. I can't imagine people who live that life. Can't imagine it, but it's all good. Different strokes. Florida is a swamp with drugged out losers. And yet you go to Florida and 20% of the people there have a New York have or 20% of people there are from Long Island. Why are they there? Why are they going there? Yeah, of course, you can get to easier spots differently, but I still will firmly claim leave house, start car, go. To me, is better 'cause I grew up in I lived in Long Island. I lived in Queens, so I've lived in both. I've lived the different walks of life. To me, and it always feels like you're rushing, man. Everyone's in a rush. I like it. I like grass. I like to look out my window and I can see grass. That's nice. You know how rich you have to be in New York City to see grass? They probably charge you by the blade. You have to probably pay taxes on each individual blade. Sir, we've reassessed your blades. They've grown 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to have to raise your taxes now. But there was this guy. So there was this guy on the. I used to take the NFTA Metro. That's what it's called in Buffalo, and it is horrible. The bus runs like once every solstice. If you miss it, you're never leaving your house again. It's like, oh, you missed the bus. Sometimes it just wouldn't come. Like it just wouldn't show up at the time. But there used to be, and this is how horrible it is. It's the worst. It's the worst public transportation system I've ever seen in any city. Uh, horrible. Like Cincinnati's, that was pretty bad too. Buffalo is terrible. So here's how it works: the bus, like just the public bus, is also the bus for the high schools because a lot of the high schools up to a certain age they have like the yellow school buses for the little kids, but the high schoolers just get a metro pass. So now you're on a bus that's like a third working class people, a third high school kids, and a third, you know, some people just kind of in going through it in life, I would say is the polite way to put it. Some characters, I don't know, but there was this guy who I think he would just ride the bus to ride the bus. I don't think he was going anywhere. I'll put it that way. But the kids they called him Snapplecat because if you looked at him, he would just shout a random fact at you. He would just give you random information if you looked at him. And if you remember, like Snapple caps on the drink, they used to have like random facts on the cap. So if you just looked at this dude, he would immediately shout a random fact at you. You never knew what it was going to be. Um, and I remember I was sitting by Snapple cap, and I could feel him looking at me. So I'm like, okay, let's see what he has to say. So I look over at him and he screams to me that Jimi Hendrix could play guitar with his teeth. And then I got home, and this is before I even had a smartphone. So I got home and I looked that up on my laptop, and Jimi Hendrix could play guitar with his teeth. So he was correct. He was 1 for 1 with me, Snapple Cap. So I wonder how he's doing now. I I hope the last like 10 years have been kind, Snapple Cap. Just the Jets are bad because of Snapple Cap. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Jimmy Andrews could play guitar with his teeth. And he could. He could. Rest in peace, Jimi Hendrix. We should get Snapple Cap on the channel. We need to do a mock draft with Snapple Cap. No, you're misunderstanding me. I'm not crapping on New York City. I'm just saying I'm not cut out for it, man. I'm not, it's not my speed. Any city. San Francisco, that was even worse. There were lots of Snapple Cap type of characters in San Francisco. And the entire city is on a 45-degree angle. Um, so I think like a city the size of Buffalo, but that is somewhere where it's not negative a million degrees for 5 months of the year would be nice. So I'm sure there's some places like that. Maybe like no, that's cold too. The thing about Buffalo that is unique is that well, typically, because I lived in central New York too, and everyone knew that it was trash. And it was just like part of it. Like you said, yeah, where we live sucks. It's terrible. It was like a bonding experience that everyone hates where you live. It was like an hour south of Syracuse, Binghamton, New York. Horrific. I mean, no redeeming qualities. Everyone's on meth. It's the most rainfall of any city in the country besides Seattle. So it just rains and then you do meth and you're wet and you do meth. And that's it. And maybe you used to work at IBM, but it closed and the water is like poisoned. You can't drink the water. So in every household, there's a like one of those water coolers like that you get at the home office. Instead of just getting the thing installed on your sink like a normal person would do, everyone just gets a giant 200-pound water cooler in their kitchen. And that's just part of it. So terrible. But in Buffalo, everyone who's in Buffalo, if you say that Buffalo isn't the best place on earth, they like shun you, or that everything about it is great, they shun you. I like some things about it, but their pizza is horrific. It's not pizza. Well, there's good pizza spots in Western New York, but it's not Western New York style pizza. You have to find places that do New York style pizza in Western New York. Now, the Armenians have been doing a really good job of this. There's a lot of Armenian immigrants who are from New York City via Armenia, and now to Western New York, and they have saved the pizza scene in Buffalo. I got a spot up the block from me that's called Brooklyn's Finest Pizza. So good. So good. But Buffalo style pizza, the dough is like an inch thick. It doesn't feel like it's been cooked. The sauce is way too sweet. The cheese is all like it's just like a layer of cheese that could slide off the pizza at any moment. It's that the cheese is not like married to the dough. It's like you have dough, sauce, and cheese as like three individual. It's not, and it's just not good. It's not good, but they can't admit it. It's like, no, New York City has better pizza than you. Why is it like New York City figured out pizza? Just do what they're doing. Just do that. So if you ever come to Buffalo, New York, or Rochester, or anywhere close, if you call a pizza place and they answer and they don't have an accent of any kind, hang up immediately. Like if it sounds like some guy like named Chad or whatever, immediately hang up because he is going to serve you dog food. So bad. Now, Greek food here, awesome. Wings, legendary. Good Italian, Mexican spots, all that's fine. But their pizza is it's criminal. It is really criminal what they consider pizza here. Population of Buffalo, it's probably like 350,000. I liked Pittsburgh. I actually did like Pittsburgh. Cleveland is basically like another Buffalo. Raleigh, Durham. Yeah, Raleigh, I don't know much about Raleigh, but I've been to Charlotte a lot, and Charlotte is cool because nobody's from Charlotte. Everybody is from somewhere else in Charlotte. It's kind of like the East Coast Austin in that way. How's the Chinese food up there? I feel like Chinese food is I mean, no, I'm not a Chinese food connoisseur, so correct me if I'm out of pocket, but I think Chinese food is kind of Chinese food, right? For the most part, unless you're getting like super authentic Chinese cuisine. If you're getting like, 1-800 China Star to get, orange chicken, I think you can pretty much get that anywhere. No, Ted's is disgusting. It's mm. In Glenn's own words, he is trash. He called out the coaching to reasons of why Fields and McDonald haven't been good. Yeah, man, that was a big error by Glenn because Chinese. Yeah, I think I think probably the warmer the weather, the worse the Chinese food. That seems like would make sense. But yeah, Glenn, I think in the beginning of the year, it felt like there was a lot of frustration with the Jets, and they went all in, and it didn't work. And it's like, what the f? And Rodgers is gone, and Douglas is gone, and it's like, man, we had this team we thought was good, and now it's all this done. But I think if you come in and you're ready for a fresh start, like his initial messaging honestly could not have been worse. Some of his introductory press conferences, I was shocked. I was like, "Who am I? What is going on? What is going on? Like, who are?" It was just not. It was not normal. It was not a normal way to communicate in the beginning. I think you were trying to do like a new sheriff in town kind of thing. Um, And I think it is obtuse that people will say, "Well, you can't say we're gonna be trash." It's like, dude, you can have a little tact. You don't have to say, "We're not gonna rebuild and we're here to win right now," and then say, "Oh, well, I didn't mean like right now, right now. I meant like," because that does he mean next year? Can we hold him to that next year? Are we allowed to expect winning next year? He'll probably backtrack again if they start off 2-5. So, or to say that Will McDonald wasn't good enough due to coaching. Easiest thing and it's the easiest thing in the world. You know how you could have answered that? You could have said, "Hey, Will's had a really strong summer. Did some good things for us last year. I'm really excited to see what he brings this upcoming season because he's worked his tail off." Easiest thing in the world to do is just defer credit directly to the. Now he's done that a bunch too. He credited the players and talked them up. Um, but there was more than a few quotes that were insinuating there's talent here, but the previous coaches sucked because they couldn't win with it. Um, I even discussed the Aaron Rodgers thing. Everything I said previously to JV still stands, but let's be honest. And Rodgers has admitted himself he's like a sensitive guy. He straight up said that. Uh, but could Aaron Glenn have communicated the breaking up with Rodgers in a way that doesn't make it on national TV? Maybe because now you could see how that could have been insanely combative right away. Where, like, I don't know, if Mike Tomlin has to break up with Rodgers, Rodgers is going to feel some type of way about it because all of the top level guys are egomaniacs. Tom Brady, like, even when they get washed, he's like, "F you, I'm still Tom Brady. F you, I'm still Aaron Rodgers." Right? That's how they all are. That's why I didn't take it. I didn't take it personal when Aaron Rodgers was taking shots at the Jets after he beat them week 1. Like that, they're all like that. You draft Jordan Love to replace me, I hate you now. It doesn't matter that the Packers are making a good decision for the future. That's how all those top level guys think. So I don't take that personal from Aaron. But yeah, man, like Glenn probably could have handled that in a way that doesn't make it into a national story. Does that absolve Aaron's side of it? No, but I don't care about Aaron anymore. He's not on the Jets. Aaron Glenn is. So the beginning, like, communication piece was kind of an F, to be honest. Then he kind of figured it out. Now he just talks like a normal coach. All of a sudden, I don't know when it was, but he just started talking like normal standard coach jargon. But the beginning, that was really just unforced errors from a PR perspective from the new regime. Yeah, he was trying to be the anti-Salah. I think you're probably right. Oh, I'm definitely not professional on here. I make crash jokes. I curse. So Connor Rogers is the most articulate Jet commentator. They would not have my they would not allow my 25-minute rambles on Western New York pizza onto that program because that's a paid subscription. But this is free, so you gotta deal with that. You gotta hear about Snapple Cap. This is a free show. I appreciate the kind words though, man. Joe Grana. Dano, rank by Q score. Okay, now I'm feeling. What does Q score mean? Woody Glen Fields. What is Q score? Do I have to Google Q score, or can someone tell me? Okay, measures the public's familiarity and appeal for celebrities, indicating positive recognition. Um, public appeal. Who has more public appeal? Oh, geez. A litmus test for likability. So Woody is going to be last because all things being equal, he's also like a nepo baby billionaire. Um, I mean, I'd say Fields might be the most likable just because he's just kind of aloof and doesn't really say much controversial and just says, he believes in God and that's pretty much it. Like, I don't know. I think Fields is likable. Then Glenn in the middle, and then Woody the worst. The issue, the players see right through. The players love Salah to a fault. I agree with that. Salah, different heavy weighs the crown. I think Salah wasn't built to interact with players how you have to when you're the whole leader of the whole operation. It's a hard thing. The players do not like Glenn. I don't I don't know if I fully agree with that yet. I don't know if I fully agree with that. They see through his charade. It's a huge problem. Well, I think if the thing is, if you're going to be a hard ass, it's tough to do that while also you're being really bad and you're playing like Brady Cook and a quarterback that gives them no chance. It's hard to do that when they know what it is, man. Like they know like Quincy Williams and Jermaine Johnson are going out there and they're professionals. They have to try their best. I get all that, but they know what this is. So they know what time it is, man. Like they're like they're tuning out. They're tuning out. Come on, they're tuning out right now. And then here's the reality. He probably has next September to get them back to get them tuned back in. If he starts 1-3 next year, it's probably curtains, man. It is what it is. They got to get off to a strong start next year. And by that I mean like, dude, 4-5. It's 4-5 to just be like a normal team. You know, you start 1-4, they're going to be like, all right, this is all BS. Do you think Woody ever entered a pizza shop or Chinese restaurant and ordered food for himself? No, no. Woody does not live a life that is uh what we live. If we win the East in 2026, will you get a Glenn tattoo? No, I wouldn't do that of my own volition. Now, if I had to get a Glenn tattoo and that meant we would win the division next year, I would get a very small one. I wouldn't get that dude that on the Jake Asman show who got a back his first tattoo. Now I have several tattoos, so I could sneak it in there and it'd be fine. But this dude had a blank canvas and put on his back, "We're built for this as maniacs." Dude, that's a choice. Um, what, like Aaron Glenn's face? I mean, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. I could get like a little AG and a quote snuck in there somewhere. Aaron Glenn's head? No, I would need a Super Bowl. You have to guarantee me a Super Bowl before I would do that. Yeah, Buffalo doesn't have good pizza. Does Rochester have better pizza? Okay, maybe I lumped Rochester and Buffalo too well together. Although Rochester and Buffalo, they do this nice thing where every other summer they trade which one of them is going to have a ton of murders. So they're very symbiotic in that. They're like, "Wait a minute, is it our turn to just have like a bunch of murders this summer?" And then they switch every other summer. I don't know what it is. They go back and forth. Rochester gets dicey fast. Buffalo is definitely more middle neighborhoods. Um, I remember I lived in Rochester very, very briefly, and it's when I think I was young. I was like uh probably 19. I remember my mom was coming to my apartment and I was talking to her on the phone and she was like trying to find the exact place and she was like, "This is a really nice neighborhood." And I'm like, "Well, you're not there yet. You're on another quarter mile." And then it's like, "Oh, okay." Mm, Yeah, same thing. East side of Buffalo too. Did my time over there. It's yeah, not ideal. What part of Rochester? South Market View area, Rochester. All right, I gotta get the what am I doing here? We gotta get the high here. This isn't even a Jets channel. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you wanted the thumbs up on your way out, that'd be cool. And we'll talk all soon.